Hello everyone, this is Elliott Wave Cafe. Happy New Year. This is the video for YouTube, and every 2 weeks we take a look here at Bitcoin and Ethereum through the eyes of the wave principle. We're using Elliott Wave analysis to make sense of all the market movements, direction and sentiment. And this is your host, the Cowboy. Let's get started. Again, Happy New Year. I hope everybody had a nice celebration. This is Saturday morning, a little bit later here. It's been partying last night. Keeping an eye on the markets as well to kind of see where we are. I think Bitcoin is going to have some nice movements and still pretty good potential to continue to climb. And the count that you've been familiarized with so far through all my videos remains strong, remains valid. I think this was a major cycle wave 2. I count this move from these lows to these highs as a 5-wave advance, followed by a 3-wave setback in here, followed by another impulse and another corrective move. The question that remains and continues to linger on my counts here is this second wave here complete or not yet? So we've been in a pretty strong consolidation for a few months now, and Bitcoin hasn't really gone anywhere. You can notice that with the moving averages and the kind of the sideways move in there, it's pretty much a fair game for both camps, bulls and bears. I'm fine with either one. I think that even if Bitcoin sells off a little bit here and let's say even if it retests those $30,000 level, even if you dip below those, I think the next outburst is still going to be to the upside. This will be a nice clean corrective pattern. So I am not worried whatsoever on the complete termination of this new asset class and a return to much lower levels than say 20,000. So I remain constructive. I think this is a pretty solid count, and we'll see kind of how it pans out into 2022. I know there was a lot of interest into hitting $100,000 by the end of 2021. That never really happened. You could see all that open interest and option interest kind of getting left in the dust by the price. This kind of 48,000 was a maximum level of pain for a lot of this optionality, and now that we kind of clean all those out, I think price can start to kind of freely move on its kind of next journey in here. So let's jump over and take a look at the next slide here, which is a little bit of a closer look at the count. This is where you can see the nice trending channel. You can see the nice impulsive move, a corrective pattern out of here. Followed by a rise to new highs. We weren't really able to sustain the momentum. And, we're coming back lower, but, we're still remaining in a pretty decent uptrend. Now, I'll take a look at some smaller time frames here, and you will see that there are several ways to kind of count this. But again, overall, just like I've said, even if this market moves back towards 30K, and then let's say for whatever reason starts to retest this trend line, you're still looking for this to be a correction against this impulse and then a continuation much higher. So, have your pick, maybe have some dry powder in case the markets sell off, have some open orders. No financial advice, but just, be aware that, you could get some volatility here in the first month of the year. So again, this wave 2 can continue to develop above 65K. Wave 3 has likely started. We'll take a look at some smaller time frames in here, and as you can see, if this was a wave 2 down here, you can go ahead and count this impulsive for a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is a 3-wave setback in a second wave. You come back at about 618 in here. You've been holding, climbing higher, not really getting that momentum, and maybe that was just because we've had so much interest in those higher prices that the market decided to correct a little bit more in here. And again, if you're going to be pushing back, you can still look at this as a second wave minor that's about to be part of this, let's say, this larger wave 1 intermediate of a larger move in this primary third wave. So it's a little, let's say, this count, it's not the best looking structure. This fourth wave is a little bit smaller than the second wave. And that's why I kind of have the other count where I'm looking at this as a triangle in this A, B, and then up in C, and then for a continuation more sideways. But this remains my primary count at the moment. And until the market is really telling me, no, we're still kind of pushing lower, I want to see this, let's say, move sell off a little bit more, then go back more in a sideways pattern, then I'll start to kind of give up on the fact that, this is an impulse and it is more of a correction. Higher, that tells me that the triangle is information. So I still have basically enough reasons to remain bullish and to consider this a bullish development with a correction against the trend. So this is kind of where I'm at. This is kind of what I'm thinking. This is what I talk about it every single day with the members in our pro room in there. We've taken a couple of trades that I'll show you here in a second as well. So we're trying to stay with the, with the momentum. It's been a little hard to, generate a lot of returns and a lot of income because of the market really didn't give you much, right? So, we had a couple of successful trades somewhere in here, a couple of small losses back there. But, then another winning trade out of here. We started a new trade this morning. So I'm still kind of trying the waters here and just, before I get more conviction, by trading, I get a better feel for the market and I kind of know what's going on, by having some money involved and just, taking shorter term tactical trades, to kind of see if the momentum can build higher. Here is the other count, the blue count, where I'm looking at this. This is a little bit more complex because, there's a lot of things that could happen here. And it's a little bit more messy, but if you kind of bear with me, you can see that this is a wave A decline, still as a corrective pattern in this WXY. For a wave A, you push higher in this ABC instead of an impulsive move. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 3-wave move to new highs. Almost an equality C versus A. You finish this B wave, then you're selling off impulsively in this wave A, and you're doing a B wave followed by a C wave decline. Now, this B wave here could be over, or there's still a chance that this could still develop. I still think that that's very likely just because it's very small. If you pay attention to this rise back in here, compare with this move out of here, even if in terms of a head and shoulder, I still think that you need a little bit more proportion into the move. So you would want it to go, let me see if I can grab my marker, if I can kind of grab it, let's see, yep. So you would go kind of like that and then kind of come back towards those highs a little bit more, just do one more push in this B, below you sell off in this C wave. Now, again, I am, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it. I think that if this B wave is done, you're still going to get a little bit of a rise here, let's say in 3 waves. You're looking at this sell-off as an impulse. Let's say that's a 5-wave move. You go up here in an impulse, ABC, back to kind of 49.5, and then sell lower in 3, 4, and 5, and complete this C of C. Then you go back up in 3 waves, down in 3 waves. You come back in a time fib towards 1618. Somewhere before the summer begins, maybe late spring, before you start to advance higher. So that's why I continue to stay confident and you can continue to kind of accumulate and be patient with the market because, a lot of these moves here are very, very real. And, until you kind of start to threaten back, let's say that if this move continues, right, and you start to break back above this kind of $49,000, $50,000 level, then you start to, in 55 actually, right there, even 60, then you kind of start to say, well, I think that, it's very likely that, this correction move is over and you could be moving over to new all-time highs. So, that's what I'm watching. I'm watching for the signals from the market, from the price to kind of, work out and tell me when I'm about to press on the acceleration and when I'm about to just kind of stay a little bit on the sidelines, don't throw a lot of money at these trades, just kind of, stay safe, continue to get paid, if you have some kind of a yield on your Bitcoins, and then just, just be patient and wait. But this is kind of something that I'm watching in case, you're starting to get more of a sell-off. Here's a look at the smaller time frame. This is actually a chart from December 18. So, a couple of weeks ago when we were looking at this move corrective, and we've actually gotten a nice impulsive move higher, right? And we were able to trade this move. Actually, there was one more move down, and then we pushed back up higher. But it was something that I wanted to take advantage of and move all the way towards this kind of $59,000, $60,000 level. The market did not really cooperate. You sold off again, but even on a shorter term basis, this was a good market to kind of open some positions to the long side based on this pattern. So here we are with some of those trades. When I presented that video, we were somewhere down into these levels. We started to go higher. We came back one more time, and then I saw this bullish engulfing, and I initiated a long entry. So we kind of got in. This was around December 20th. So shortly after this happened, 46,700 we got in, and then we started to pound the upside. Our stops were at 45,000, just below those levels. Then we raised stops to 46, reduce exposure. The move continued to push higher. Then we raised stops to 47,800. We started to lock in profits. I said if you want to reduce to 25, it's not a bad spot, as we were kind of breaking higher. A little bit more consolidation lower. This was fine. Then we started to move. The moment I saw this move higher here, I started to raise stops and put them below these levels at about 49,000, just to kind of have that protection in case, a sell-off could happen. And this could be just another, let's say, a C-wave advance, and you're going to break lower. You wanted to kind of be out of that market. And then we locked about 2,300 in price gains. The markets on December 28th pushed lower below those levels. We got stopped out for about a 5% gain on our trade, which was a nice little trade. And now we're kind of, we kind of started to sell off. This was a three-wave move against the trend. I put that on Twitter as well. And the sell-off did not continue. I thought that this could be, the beginning of a larger decline lower. The sentiment was extremely bearish. Again, you got some kind of a piercing move in here. And since we lacked continuation, I'm looking at this as an ABC with a very short C wave. And I think the market will now start to move to the upside, maybe back towards 50,000. So that's why I've initiated this morning, actually, another long trade alert for our members at about 47,400 stops, below 45K. So just below these levels, a very kind of smaller risk. And I want to see if we can trade this move to the upside. Now, since we haven't made new lows here, this could still be considered a second wave. So if you go in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, this is an ABC, deep second wave pullback, which means that the third wave could be quite aggressive higher, and it can push you above this 50K. Remains to be seen. It's something that we're watching. And if I'm noticing a move higher, let's say above this 49K level, we'll start to slowly raise our stops and just, reduce that risk exposure. This is kind of what we do into my, live trades alerts channel. I talk about this in the daily videos that we do and kind of explain my trades, what's the reason, where are we in the cycle, into this kind of short-term moves, tactical stuff, and I talk about those in our kind of daily talks with our members. So just kind of a quick look at the macro. I still think this is an important kind of metric to continue to monitor. You can notice that Bitcoin here in blue, it is selling off, right? And it's been selling off for a while, along with some of the other risk assets, but those have actually started to recover quite well. So if you look at the 10-year, it's now at a 152. If you look at copper, it's at 446. If you look at the S&P 500, it made new all-time highs at 4766. All the while, Bitcoin held the lows, and it was just kind of consolidating and not really getting that bullish momentum. Maybe because of that, those derivative markets, futures, open interest, stuff like that, that was kind of holding the market lower. And, based on this, I think that Bitcoin could be following here, maybe in the month of January, pending a continuation of the rest of the risk markets, and could continue to kind of follow up by moving higher. So I continue to kind of watch this every single day to see, what's the signals from the risk on markets. What's the S&P 500 doing? What's copper? What are the 10-year rates? All the other things that we're watching to see kind of how Bitcoin correlates. If that breaks, if that continues, if there are any, arbitrages there that we can use to our advantage, in addition to the counts to initiate trades to the upside. Here is a closer look a little bit at copper. I don't know if a lot of people are watching this, but it's one of my main indicators, and I keep a lot, track of what's happening in the copper market. It's a very, very good, proxy for risk, for global growth, for what's happening around in the markets in terms of bullish and bearish sentiment. And here is copper, trying to break in a nice kind of corrective pattern in here, and now we're breaking to the upside. And Bitcoin is diverging a little bit here, but you can notice, they're trading, almost, step for step in here. And I'm watching to see now if Bitcoin can start to follow higher, and also watching definitely see if copper has momentum, because if copper has momentum, then you can look at Aussie dollar climbing. You might get some gold trades in here. You can get the S&P 500, NASDAQ, a lot of the other markets to continue to push higher, and Bitcoin, can kind of follow as well. So I continue to use this as a gauge on my dashboard to kind of give me clues what's happening in the market. Guys, here is our program, and just a kind of a quick look at it. This is what we do. Come and give us a try, see what we do. Come over for a month, couple of months, whatever you think. See if it helps you out. We offer daily videos. We have weekly webinars every single Thursday, for an hour and a half. Members bring in their questions. We talk a lot of altcoins, Bitcoin dominance, a lot of things related to crypto, but I also present what's going on in the macro stuff. So those are some very nice kind of entertaining discussions. We have live discussions, questions, things like that. So, you can come and give us a try there. I have a charts channel where I have all the, this kind of counts longer term, where you can kind of quickly go ahead and take a look. Also, I use MotiveWave. And then if you have MotiveWave as well, you can sync your charts to mine and stay in step with my counts and have a quick view at kind of what I'm working, when I'm working on the charts, on the counts, and they automatically are displayed into your MotiveWave software as well, through something that's called the repository feature of MotiveWave. And then, I trade a lot of stocks as well, options, things like that, anything from gold to oil, to the futures market. Stuff that's interesting in Forex, some Aussie, some, Euro dollar as well. There's a very active chat room as well. And there's an Elliott wave course. So it's about 7 hours of learning. If you wanted to kind of take a look, dive in, if you're in the beginning and you need to kind of get yourself up to speed to what's Elliott wave, how it works, what are the rules. And then you watch my videos and the presentations there, and you can very quickly, pick up and learn and just kind of be in the midst of things, and I can help with any questions you have. So that's kind of what we do. It's an awesome room. We're going to be celebrating about 2 years, somewhere in mid-January, about 20th of January, I think is when I started a couple of years ago, and we continue to grow, and I love it. It's an awesome team to have. So, all right, let's jump over on Ethereum, and I haven't changed this a lot. I think the longer term still remains pretty bullish. We're in a very nice uptrend, clearly visible, super strong impulse. I think it might need some more time to correct, although, if we're getting new fresh money, new interest in Ethereum, you can continue to climb here. Again, just like in Bitcoin, I am, slightly worried that you could get maybe a little bit of more of a corrective move in here, just to kind of get more proportion for the second wave. But I remain constructive. I'm not worried about any of these moves. I continue to hold my Ethereum. I gain yield on it. It's fine. I continue to accumulate it. So, this kind of gives me a guide of where I'm at and what to expect, and not to get, too excited about certain things, when the markets give you a little bit of a different pattern. So this was a super nice impulsive move. It's normal to expect that you could get in a longer correction, which is totally fine. But longer term, I think we're doing fine. Here is the count that I haven't modified actually. So if you look here, it's in December 18th. But it's, it's kind of larger triangle, just kind of what we have in Bitcoin. When you look at A, B, possibly a C wave, D, and E. Although this move in here, it's kind of a clear correction. So something is cooking, either a 1, 2, 1, 2, or, there is something that could give us a little bit of an explosion to the upside. Maybe this fifth wave, it's still in progress. That's a 4. Something that's, interesting in terms of development. And I'm going to take a look at Ethereum and Bitcoin as well in terms of their comparison and strength. But, I am aware that this could be a likely possibility there. So on a shorter term basis, wave 1, wave 2, a little bit of an ambitious 1-2, 1-2 out of here, ABC. This was an impulse, and this looks corrective. So let's see if we can get something where, you're able to break above this trend line. And if this is a 1 with a longer second wave, that means that we're going to be getting an explosion higher. Now, I know it's ambitious because that's another 1 too. And, I've been, disappointed a lot when you have multiple 1s and 2s. So, I'm not going to hold my breath for it too much, but it's something that, I continue to monitor here, and it's one of my preferred interpretations at the moment. If the market decides that it wants to correct lower, I'm going to watch, obviously for a break, let's say below this, whatever this line is, 2,800, and then things are going to start to fall apart a little bit more. The second wave out of here, it's, it starts to get a little large if you're going to continue to correctively move lower. So we might have to modify a few things. But if you take anything from this presentation, this move out of here looks correct. All right, so it could be an ABC, you can have an X and another ABC. Maybe there is something complex, but I still think that this has a look of a corrective move against an impulse. So listen, life happens. This thing could crash lower. There's some news coming, and all of a sudden you find yourself into some more of a bearish moves. But that's part of life, and you just kind of have to roll with it. But for right now, I kind of like what I see in Ethereum. So hopefully we can get it to push to the upside. But here's what's going on in terms of relative rotation, and these are RRG graphs, relative rotation graphs. They have been developed by Julius de Campenaar. You can kind of Google him and find a lot of his work. He's the one that developed the structures, and you're looking at he kind of splits the market into 4 quadrants, from improving to leading, weakening, and lagging, and then basically. Any asset kind of makes this rotation against the benchmark. The benchmark is here in the middle at the center, and this benchmark here, it's Bitcoin. So you look at Ethereum, this is the price, and anything that kind of moves higher like that has a lot of momentum. If you're in the leading quadrant, that means you're outperforming the benchmark, which is Bitcoin. And if you're starting to move lower, right, you're losing momentum, and then if you're moving into lagging, you're basically underperforming the benchmark, so you're a little bit weaker. And this is a weekly chart, this kind of left quadrant that I have in here. It's a weekly time frame. This is a daily time frame. So you can see that on the weekly time frames, and you go back about, I think, about 10 or 12 weeks in here of price action. It's been, on a weakening kind of style here, for a lack of a better term, then it's starting to improve, right? So on a weekly basis, Ethereum still, outperforms Bitcoin, as is clearly, you can see that on Ethereum Bitcoin charts. It's heading into the right direction, with a nice, decent momentum. So both momentum and relative strength here are improving in Ethereum versus Bitcoin on a weekly basis. So take that, I think, as the kind of the main indicator that Ethereum could continue to outperform. But on the daily basis, we've been weakening, right? So you look here, I think I have about, 30 to 40 days of price action in here. And, it's been weakening here, right? It came from leading to weakening. So it lost a bunch of momentum, and it's starting to come into lagging. And you can see that on the charts as well, because Ethereum is correcting a little bit more. And, now it's kind of starting to pick up momentum again. So there could be something to watch here, because if you're starting to get into the improving and then into leading, and, maybe over the next couple of weeks here, Ethereum can push higher and start to outperform. But for right now, at least on a relative basis on a daily time frame, you see Ethereum is kind of slightly weaker. So, based on that, I'm excited to be what's happening in Bitcoin. But go ahead and take a look at the rotation graphs, because it gives you a quick visual look of kind of where we are and, how these assets kind of relate to each other. And here is a look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart on a 2-day time frame, right? And you can see this is kind of what I've showed you before on that daily time frame, that it is kind of losing, momentum and relative strength compared with Bitcoin. But on the weeklies, right, this is still pretty solid in here, and it continues to, to trend higher. Now, if you just kind of place a visual count, 1, 2, strong 3, fourth wave in here, and a wave 5, maybe one more high, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then Bitcoin can start to maybe outperform. So pay attention to the top of this channel, maybe one more move higher in Ethereum, Bitcoin, followed possibly by a larger correction back towards this trend line. So combine the relative rotation graphs, with the charts, with the counts in here. You have a little bit of a divergence here also in the RSI. So Ethereum is losing a little bit of momentum there. But, listen, price is king. For right now, this is moving higher. Let's see what happens. But I am, just in kind of a term of analysis, I'm a little bit, keeping an eye on this Ethereum versus Bitcoin, because there's also something else happening in the dominance chart. You're coming back lower here at this massive support. You've tested this 1, 2, 3 times. Like, what do you think, right? You have a strong impulse. So the meat of the move already happened. Let's say you have a wave 1, right? First original initial impulse here, followed by a second wave. You've got a large third wave in here, which is the meat of the move. So what are you really expecting? You can't really expect a lot of, performance here, or let's say underperformance from Bitcoin relative to the rest of the market in terms of its dominance, because that kind of already happened here, right? So even if you're going to get, let's say that's an A, B, C, D, and E, and you push higher one more time, and you get one more low, I still think that's going to be short-lived. So I think that this dominance is kind of running, towards a termination point here, even from the current levels, maybe from slightly lower, one more push, and then you're going to get an aggressive move higher here, again, maybe towards 50% or 53%. That's kind of my read on what I see on this price action so far. So, I think we're kind of running on borrowed time, kind of how I like to call it. It's just, not a lot of, I don't get a big sense that, you might get a very strong outperformance from the rest of the market versus Bitcoin moving forward here, right, over the next, the RSI here is starting to climb. I understand it's a sideways consolidation, but, we're in some big support here. So let's see what happens. I could be surprised and the thing could crash lower, and alts are moving to the moon along with Ethereum. But there are alts, there are, sending signals that they're about to correct a little bit more. And I talked about those in the daily videos as well. So, keep an eye on that Sol, ADA. There's some of them that have been Luna, some of them there are, quite, that have run quite aggressively, and I think they need to correct a little bit more. So remains to be seen. I'll discuss that starting tomorrow again with our members, and kind of get back, not tomorrow, Monday, and kind of get back into the working mood, and we have a lot of things. I'm excited about the new year, and come and visit us, and I enjoy having you guys every 2 weeks in here. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up. Visit me on Twitter at Elliott Cafe as well. Come and visit us on Telegram. And again, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you soon. Be safe, and again, Happy New Year. Bye-bye.